Hi, welcome back. Let's talk about paragraph. What kind of paragraphs should your blog post have? So first thing first, you must keep the sentences short and paragraphs even shorter. Now, what I mean by that is people will get intimidated or even angry if they see huge walls of text, especially long sentences. It's a common mistake that I often see on websites that provide local services. See, paragraphs should be short and sweet. The shorter the paragraph, the more likely your readers are to keep going. They'll continue reading. You have to understand that the reader may be on his phone, okay? Or maybe a smaller iPad like an iPad mini, or an old laptop that may not have a screen as bright as yours. So they may have a tough time reading. Maybe it's an older person who doesn't have his glasses on with him or something like that. The person who's on your website reading your blog post may not be in the perfect situation or an ideal situation as you might think he might be. So you have to remember that people are using their cell phones, iPads, tablets, and things like that, which makes it hard to read at times. So make it easy on them. That way they can stay on your website longer and continue to read one post after another post. Write for your target audience, okay? So when they read the blog post, when they read the headline, they feel, yeah, that's me. We talked about researching your audience and defining your ideal user. So now it's time to speak to them. Trying to sound smart or making it seem like your services are top of the line because you're using complicated words will not really help. You want the user to understand what you're saying, and you want them to understand that quickly. Users will only spend 10 to 20 seconds on a website, but communicating a clear message that they do not have to fight to understand will keep them longer. So call them out, call your audience out, attention dentists, attention small business owners, attention homeowners, and so forth. So when you call them out, they know that you're talking to them. And that's what you need from your blog post. Or if you're talking to couples who have kids, then, for example, 7 reasons why you should keep the air clean in your house if you have younger kids. Okay. And that is, of course, if you provide HVAC services and so on. So you need to keep that in mind. With your blog posts, you can ask a question. A good question, one that presses on a problem or challenge, can work wonders. It's one of the most tried and trusted tactics for increasing the pulling power of a paragraph opening. For example, let's say if you provide office cleaning services, or if you have janitorial or a maid service, you can ask something like, have you ever imagined how your life could be if your office or house was absolutely sparkling clean, clutter-free, and completely organized? Right? Again, have you ever imagined how your life could be if your house or office was absolutely sparkling clean, clutter-free, and completely organized? This will make the other person think. When you say imagine this or imagine that, people will imagine. If I say, imagine if your website was on page 1 of Google in 50 search phrases within next 90 days, and you get all this business, you start getting more calls, you start getting more revenue, you start getting more customers, clients. Imagine if all of that happens or starts happening in about 3 months from now. How would that make you feel? What if your revenue goes up 30, 40%? What if your online revenue goes up? It goes double than what it is today, maybe 4 times. We've had clients that, their online revenue has gone up by 10 times. So what will that do for you? So when I say imagine that, you do think like that. So add that to your blog post as well. Something maybe, have you ever imagined how you and your kids' life could be if your house had absolutely clean, fresh air flowing throughout, and you don't have to worry about dog hair or cat hair or bacteria and viruses floating around? So you get the idea. When you ask a question like that, that gets people's attention. And once you have their attention, then you can continue with your paragraph. So first thing was the headline. So you start the headline, which we talked about in the previous video. But now when you start a paragraph, when you open a paragraph, then you can start with a question as well. You can also start with an interesting fact, as long as it's related to your blog post or what you're writing. So for example, let's say you want to write something related to mold and you don't know the facts. If you want to add some facts to your blog post, but you don't know what they are. So the simple thing you can do is ask Google. Just go to Google and look up mold plus facts. Okay. Now, as you scroll down, there's CDC here. You can always get some facts from CDC. Don't get any facts or numbers from, let's say, a private small business, unless you know for sure that they must have done a fact check. But if they haven't, if you're not sure, CDC is a perfect place to go. And now you can get all these facts from here that you can add in your blog post, in your paragraphs. So it can be something like, in 2004, IOM found that there was sufficient evidence to link indoor exposure to mold with upper respiratory tract symptoms, cough, and wheezing in otherwise healthy people. So you can say, did you know that mold inside your house can cause upper respiratory tract symptoms, cough, and wheezing in otherwise healthy people? And things like that. And then when you add that in your post, you must tell the resource or the source where you got that fact from, where you got the data from. Even better if you link it to CDC and you can say, hey, for further information, click on this link and it goes to CDC. So something like this you can add in your paragraphs. You can even say, let's say if I go back, mold plus facts plus death. So 7 million deaths per year are linked to indoor and outdoor air pollution. So now these things can be used in your blog post, okay, in your paragraphs. And then of course you want to mention where you got the statistics from. All right, so use simple and familiar language. When writing a blog post, it becomes all too easy to try to over-explain your product or services because you're not sure if customers will understand your vision. So you go on and on and on bragging about your service, bragging about maybe the product that you use. And you may also get technical. People try and get technical with products. So you shouldn't do that because you're writing for, let's say, a homeowner who doesn't understand your product. They are just looking for solutions. They just want results. It's okay to mention something like, our product is EPA approved and all, but if you start getting into what chemicals it has and so on, you'll lose their attention because they don't care really. You don't need to have a lot of words to communicate your message, In many cases, less is more. So keep that in mind. If you write paragraph upon paragraph about every detail of your product, maybe your business or your service, it makes it tough for users to pick out what you're trying to say. What are you focusing on? So at that point, short copy is also easy on eyes and easy to read, easy to understand, and easy to comprehend. Okay, so keep that in mind. Use subheadings throughout your post because subheadings will make it easy for people to scan through the post. After every paragraph, you can add a subheading, or every 2 paragraphs, you can add a subheading. See, people start by scanning the page for areas of interest, and then they go on to scanning subheads, skim through the copy, reading to get detail, and then clicking to take action. Because users scan web pages, you can make it much easier for them to get the information they need by highlighting important points with subheads. I'll give you an idea here. Let's go to, I'll just randomly click a blog post here. So, it talks about water damage prevention and saving money through updating your insulation. And so now we have subheadings after every 2 paragraphs. Okay, could probably do another one. How to avoid frozen pipes. So keep your pipes warm to avoid frozen pipes. Keep the water flowing, inspect and repair or replace your pipes, and so on and so forth. So you get the idea. Having subheadings will make people read longer posts It'll make it much easier on them. Use the word you. See, it pulls the readers into the story or the content and makes them feel connected to the advice you're giving because they feel that you are talking to them. Okay, it's all about them. So let me give you a couple of examples. You can write something like, people can save a lot of money in long run by getting their basements waterproofed before water starts to seep in. Or you can say, you can save a lot of money in long run by making sure your basement is waterproofed. And this is, of course, when you provide basement waterproofing services and you want to write something related to that. So you can say, people can save a lot of money in long run, or you can say, you can save a lot of money in long run. You can say, people can get sick with mold in their house, or you can get sick with mold in your house. It sounds different. So use the word you wherever and whenever you can. Add humor if you can. You can't imagine this world without funny things. And so in blogging or in writing blog posts, if you can add humor, that's great. Sometimes people will smile, laugh, giggle without any reason. And even they don't know themselves why they were smiling. They don't know the exact reason. So everybody likes to smile anyways. I mean, even if they don't know why they're smiling, they like to smile. So make them smile if you can. And as far as, if you want to add a joke, or let's say on a person, make fun of yourself. I would never encourage you to make fun of anybody else, of your target audience, of people in your city, of a person that you know, or maybe a politician. Never do that. Because now you're starting to walk the fine line. So you shouldn't do that. If you want to make fun of a person, make fun of yourself. So, like I was saying, add humor. And I struggle with humor myself. I mean, you already know that. You've been through this course. And you know I have not really added much humor to it because I struggle with it. Maybe you can tell me a few ways I could add or I can add humor to these course. But something like this, this picture makes me laugh. When I first saw it, it made me laugh. It's like if you're writing, let's say something related to cleaning services. Maybe you provide cleaning services, carpet cleaning, furniture cleaning, and so on. So you can start your paragraph with a picture like this and say, this guy's wife just told him, honey, you have to shampoo all the carpets, rugs, and upholstery for Mother's Day. So let me show you 7 ways to get stains out of your carpet and furniture. So you're still saying the same thing. The headline is, 7 ways to get stains out of your carpet and furniture. But instead of starting the paragraph by, let me show you 7 ways to get stains out, you can start with, check out this guy. Look at this guy. His wife just told him, honey, you have to shampoo all the carpets, rugs, and upholstery for Mother's Day. And so now it makes them smile before they start reading your post, which will make them stay on your page longer. And like I said, it may not be the funniest thing that I said, but you get the idea. I said myself. I myself struggle with humor, but that's who I am. So help me if you can. Let's talk about, or you need to remember, it's always about them and not SEO. Too often we get caught up in keyword usage and word count. We're thinking there's a specific formula we need to stick to in order to rank high on search engine. But it doesn't work like that. When we think too hard about this, we only hurt our chances of converting our site visitors because we end up using the search phrases way too often. Our focus is SEO. We write everything for Google and we lose the person who's reading your blog post. Okay, we lose that person. They leave the site. That's not the idea. The idea is we get traffic, we get visitors, and we turn those visitors into customers and clients. So write for people, write for humans, not soft, not Google. And don't forget, it's all about user experience and conversions. End of the day. I've said this many times before. I'll say it again, that it's all about user experience and conversions, which, by the way, will increase your website's rankings eventually anyways. But when you write, you want to write for human. Now, here's another thing. If you're starting to write a blog post and you cannot figure out the first paragraph, you're trying and you don't know where to start, leave it. Just keep writing, just keep speaking. And then in the end, when it's all done, then come back to it and think of it again. It'll be easier for you to write the first paragraph or the opening line at that point. You don't want to spend too much time thinking of the first line because now you're just wasting time. Once the blog post is done, once you've written the entire post, come back to the opening and you'll have a better idea by then. And of course, do not forget adding images. And of course, legal images, right? I've said it before. Do not forget adding images. You want to make sure you check the license and they are royalty free. They can be used for commercial purposes. Use real people if possible. They should be visually appealing. You can, of course, do image SEO with it. But images will help you get more social media share. People love pictures, especially on social media. So when you add images, you'll get more shares. And in your blog post, if you may have one or two funny images, maybe that'll help you get even more shares. So when you add images, it makes your post look longer and so on. And don't forget to optimize the size of the image. So if you're targeting homeowners, then you can have a picture like this, right? If your target audience is homeowners. If you're targeting business owners, if you're targeting stores in strip malls and so on, then you can have a picture like that. If you're targeting dentists, if you're targeting clinics, then you can of course have a picture like that. You might be targeting dentists for your sanitization services. So use one of these types of pictures. If you're targeting your audience for office cleaning, then you can have a picture like this and say something like, clean office environment increases productivity. So let us come and clean your offices on regular basis. So that way your team can focus on productivity. So, this is something like that. If you're targeting couples with young children, then this is a great picture. Or if you're targeting people for cleaning services, if you're targeting women, because you feel that they hire you more than men for your cleaning services, then you can have a picture like this. Now, this is thinking outside the box. This is different. It's not just a woman sitting there that you have to target. She's happy, she's jumping. She's in a very clean environment, and you can use that with your blog post. You can say something like, you'll jump with joy when inside of your house smells as fresh as the air this clean. So you can write something like that. You'll jump with joy because the inside of your house smells so fresh, or as fresh as these mountains, or as this air, or as this area, or however you want to say it. Okay. So you can use something like that. Now, these pictures that I just showed you are from pixabay.com. I've mentioned this before. You can use their pictures on your website. They are free and they allow you to use them for commercial purposes as well. Okay. Other places you'll have to buy pictures and still make sure that you can use them on your website. But this is what the pictures that I just showed you are from Pixabay. Now, when you're writing your post, read it out loud. Okay. Read your post aloud to check the flow, if it's making sense or not. Because if it's not making sense, you start again. And maybe that's one reason why I prefer speech to text, because I like to talk. And when I'm talking and I'm recording my voice and then I get it transcribed, for me, that's easier. Maybe you can do that way as well, or give it a shot. Try both ways. Maybe you're a better writer, or maybe you speak better. Try both and see which one helps you get the flow of the post. Okay. It should just flow through. At the end of the post, try and add a summary, or a conclusion, because that will once again remind people of what they just found out, or what they just learned, or what they just discovered. So if you were talking about getting rid of mold, let's say 7 ways to get rid of mold, then in the end you can say, so this is how you get rid of mold from your house. So make sure you add a summary or a conclusion at the end of your blog post. And don't forget call to action, because this is something you've earned now. Okay, somebody spends time on your website, they read through your post, you can add a call to action, and no hard selling. Something really like a call now to get your free estimate, or schedule your free inspection. If you don't do free inspections, then you can say call now for a free phone consultation. Okay, so something to that effect. When people read your post, then feel free to have a call to action at the end. In fact, I strongly suggest that you have a call to action. It can be a call. It can be maybe you have a form at the end of the blog post so people can send you an email. Maybe they are reading it at 10:30 at night, so they can send you an email, or maybe a link to your calendar so they can set up or schedule a consultation with you, something like that. But have a call to action at the end of the blog post. Otherwise, people will just leave, right? You want to make them to stay on your website or do something. You want them to take some form of action, and whatever that is, you add that. If you wrote a blog post about carpet cleaning, maybe you can then send them to the upholstery cleaning page of your website. Okay. If you talked about mold removal, now you can talk about HVAC cleaning or indoor air quality or something to that effect. So make sure you have a call to action. And finally, test, test, and test. This is it. This is the only way you can be successful with blogging, with adding blog posts to your website. There's no other way. You'll never have a perfect post the first time. I'll say you'll never have a perfect post ever. There's always something that you can add later on. The good thing about blogging is you can go back and change your post. You can go back and edit your post even after you make it live. It's not like a business card that you've printed it once and now you cannot change it. It's a blog post. Make it live. And then check your Google Analytics. See what kind of traffic it's getting. Look into the bounce rates. Does this post have a high bounce rate or a low bounce rate? Make changes accordingly. See how much time are people spending on that blog post. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 50 seconds, 2 minutes, or whatever that is. Okay, so you can see that through Google Analytics, which is again a free tool. Check the call volume. See if that post is generating calls, if it's generating leads, emails, and so on. So you can only find that after the post goes live and it starts to get some traction, it starts to get some shares on social media, maybe it'll get some comments, some likes when you share it on Facebook, and so forth. So when you write your first post, make an Excel file, have different columns on it, and make some notes in it. How many people came to it, what was the bounce rate, and so on. You write the next post, you can then compare the two, how many shares you got, how many likes you got, write the third post, and so on and so forth. So until you test, and continue to test, you'll never really become good at blogging because you will not know what's working. Okay, you need to find what's working. What kind of post, what kind of headline, what kind of call to action. When you give a call to action like, and call us to schedule a free inspection versus click here to sign up for our free inspection, or click here to schedule our free inspection. Now, do people call you more, or do people go to your calendar invite and schedule an inspection more? This is something you'll only know after you test, okay? After you go through your analytics, after you check your call volume, and then you'll know, hey, the better call to action is have people call me, or have them click on this link to my calendar and then schedule an inspection right from there. Make it easy on them, right? Maybe they don't want to talk. They might think you'll start selling to them. So they would just like to schedule an inspection through your calendar. So put your calendar link. This is something you'll have to test, and eventually you'll know what works best for you. And then, of course, you move on from there on accordingly. So I hope that was helpful. Now you know how to write paragraphs in your blog posts. We've already been through headlines. This is how you write paragraphs, and let me know your thoughts if you have any questions. And please make sure you do follow these instructions, okay? And I will see you in the next video.